Hi again, I'm Luke, back in Blacksburg here in my college basement of some sort. So, getting to reflection for Module 3, this module covers the social and political side of cities, so demographic trends, the mental life of cities, and the history of suburbanization and segregation in the US. So, let's get into it. So, getting into the demographic models, the demographic transition model and the epidemiological transition model, such a hard word, such a tongue twister, are basically saying the same thing, that population change is predictable and it happens in like predictable stages as a country develops. So birth rates and death rates move through predictable stages from high to a population boom and eventually leveling off. And it's a predictable model. I can see how it could upset some people that someone's out there or a model is predicting birth and death, but I mean, enough numbers, you could figure it out. So the aging population and college towns. So we watched a video, How Will Society Change as the US population ages, and then read this quick brief, America's college towns going from boom to bust, which is like, I don't know, man. The video argues that as populations age, we'll see more pressure on healthcare and workforce. Maybe. The Belkin article connects that to a failing college enrollment, since fewer kids were born decades ago, which is now hurting college towns economically. And honestly, I don't really worry about that. Like, I don't see Blacksburg, Virginia Tech shrinking anytime soon. I think that when you have a good college, all the good colleges will stay and be solidified, but maybe some community colleges or D3 or D2 schools will kind of fall off the map because there's just not enough kids to go there. And if you could go somewhere, why would you not want to go come to a place like Virginia Tech and Blacksburg? And I guess acceptance has gotten a little lower, so it might be tough. Getting into the mental aspect of cities and life. So Samail's main argument is that cities throw so much stimulation at people they cope by going numb, which, no, I don't know. So he calls this blase blaze attitude. Siddhar's chapter argues that the future isn't some fixed destination out there waiting for us. It is defined and built by what we do now, which, yes, our actions now control our future. Why wouldn't they? So getting to city versus country, the video kind of lays out the trade-offs. So cities bring opportunity, but they also bring noise and crowding, and rural life brings space, but also fewer options. There might not be Chipotle out there. That would be tough. So for me, simple, love the mountains, and every city I've kind of been to, or every city I have been to, just hasn't really spoken to me. I guess feel like I'm passing through. I don't really feel a part of it, and I want to be out in the country where I can have my shirt off and comfortably walk around outside and do whatever and not have to worry about neighbors or whatever. I could light off a firework and it's no problem. Like, that's the best. So I will say I got back from my trip from Toronto recently and I really liked it there. It's definitely my most favorite city I've ever been to. If you know what the word based means, then you would understand the crowd, the people there felt based, like, it's hard to explain, like maybe back at how it was in the 1980s in the US or whatever, just based. Yeah, I felt it was a really good vibe there. I felt like the people were great. You can say about anywhere, but I'm trying to get my thoughts before I ramble too much. It didn't feel like everyone there was in a rush to constantly get everywhere and you're constantly being pushed out of the way and honked at and being rushed and being worried. It felt like everyone there was moving at their own speed and moving slow and kind of like taking their time, but with purpose. On to segregation and suburbanization. So, watching the NPR code switch piece on housing segregation and the redlining and the PBS video on white flag. I feel like I need to credit these now after the comments. So, redlining describes how federally backed maps marked black neighborhoods as risky, cutting off loans and investment for decades. And white flag describes families leaving cities for suburbs to avoid integration. And I have no connection to this. I have only ever lived in one neighborhood my whole life where everyone in my neighborhood has 5-acre lots. So it's amazing we all have our own property and haven't really had to deal with the suburbs or anything like that. Lynn Toffler's chapter, The Modular Man, he argues about modern mobility turns relationships into short, modular connections instead of deep, lasting ones. And I completely agree with this one. People are so focused on kind of trying to live life to the fullest and, like, I don't know, life max, do the most, just cram everything in. And no one really wants to settle down anymore. It's just not a thing. When I say settling down, I'm not even talking about staying in the same spot your whole life. I'm saying finding a partner and staying together and going through life together. Everyone wants to go do their own thing and they won't commit to a partner. For my additional resource, I chose Robert Putman's interview in the New York Times. The interview, Robert Putman knows why you're lonely. Putman argues that America has lost its social capital over the decades, meaning fewer people are involved in clubs, teams, activities, and community groups, and that this decline is connected to a lot of today's isolation. And I agree. Again, and nowadays, oh my gosh, it's just so easy to self-isolate. Like, there's so many ways to entertain yourself by yourself, and people don't feel like they need to have that human connection all the time because, I don't know, they're so comfortable being isolated. Like, you're allowed, you have DoorDash, you have video games, whatever, like, you can access the whole world from a screen, and you don't have to go, you're not forced to go out and explore and have hobbies outside of a phone. For my second additional resource, I chose Dolores Haynes' essay, What Would a Non-Sexist City Be Like? And her argument is basically that suburbs were designed for women to stay home, isolated, without shared services like communal childcare or kitchens. And yeah, this essay is written in 1980 in the Platonic family, if you know what that means. That, yeah, you can reflect on the years before 1980, way back to, like, I don't know, the 1900, early 1910s, whatever, 20s. And yeah, that makes sense because those families are normal. Like, husband, wife, settle down, have kids. That's not so common anymore. So you can't design a whole neighborhood just around something like that. So getting to my takeaways, I'll say my biggest takeaways are kind of realizing that the design of these cities and neighborhoods and suburbs and whatever, a lot of it's done on purpose. It's not just, you know, a money moving machine like everything appears to me nowadays. It's just to make money, because why would you do something unless you're going to make money business wise, whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. But these suburbs were designed with a specific purpose in mind, and everything is supposed to be like a well-oiled machine and move together. And I mean, I didn't really expect that out of older designs. I am perplexed by Tottenham and Putnam, just like my AI perplexity helped me organize my thoughts. The end.